Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Horror Realm Radio, the show that won't stay dead. I'm your host, Mike Exler, along with my co-host and co-promoter of Horror Realm, Rich Delzato. Rich, how the hell are you?
I'm doing great, Mike. I'm really excited to be doing this with you again.
It sounds like it. It sounds like it. So, this is a special episode that we're doing. We're not kicking the season off until September. So when September rolls around, we're going to have 4 different shows rotating through the lineup. So you're going to have Dead on Movie Reviews by Tim Critchman, Dead on the Bases with Tim Critchman and Jeff Miller, now streaming hosted by Susie McIntyre, and of course Horror Realm Radio hosted by us, who you have now. So that's coming up in September. I wanted to have a special episode, knock the rust off, see if we still have this all in us, announce some guests, if you will. So I guess every 15 minutes we're going to be interrupted, no matter what we're talking about, to announce a guest until the end of the show. So if you want to know all 4, you're going to listen to the end. That's what you call a marketing or something, just to get us more listeners. So, Rich, now comes part of the time where we should talk about the history of the Rome. The first question I do have for you is, why do we keep coming back?
Well, let's see. I don't even know why we started it to begin with. But then, and I don't remember how many times we've come back, but I know one of them was because we were stuck at home for COVID and had nothing else to do, so we just started recording them via Zoom.
That's right, yeah, that's right.
And then we got the vaccine and had mercy on the world and ended the show again.
We did.
That was the last time we ended it. Why are we back this time?
I have no idea. You asked me.
Tim brought it up, and I said, sure. I don't know why I did so, but, it's back, so I guess we just have to do it.
I guess so. I just do what I'm told. But some of the history of Horror on Radio, we've really done it all and seen it all. We have a vast array of archives that you can go listen to. But there's one archive that we don't have, and that was our first ever show.
That was a fun one, I think.
This was the first ever show on the From Dusk Till Dawn network. It was a midnight show at Cinema Wasteland. So we did that show from this little conference room at Cinema Wasteland. I did not hit the record button. And now it is lost to time. But what were some of your most favorite moments from that episode?
I mean, I kind of would be making it up because I was blackout drunk. But
not a lie. It's not an exaggeration or a lie.
But the aftermath of it and what I've been told, I think I just spit on myself, by the way. What I've been told, I think the fact that I actually showed up was one of my favorite moments, because apparently around 6 o'clock that afternoon, you guys lost track of me because I was so loaded.
Yeah.
And, you didn't know where I was, and then all of a sudden, like 10 minutes till showtime, I just busted through the door for the radio show.
Yeah, with friends.
Yeah. And I like the friends that I brought, because apparently they brought some spice to the episode. Was there I think there was some near nudity, or maybe some actual nudity.
Did you say spiked?
Spiced it up.
That shit was rotten. There's no spike.
One thing I do, I don't actually remember, but I know it was there. I love that Jason Hoover was there while we did our first episode.
Yeah, he suffered through with me.
So, but I don't really remember anything. So what were your favorite moments or worst?
It ended with my favorite moment of the entire episode. So yeah, no, when that shit ended is, and um, I said F that, and it was disappointing to see what we saw,
You're welcome.
and the fact that you probably don't know what we saw. You don't remember.
No, I really don't remember anything. It's just kind of a blur. I know I was in there, but the fact that we did any more shows after that sounds like it's a miracle.
Really is. I don't know why I didn't just throw all my podcast shit in the trash and just leave it at that. It was traumatic, but here we are. What was that? Probably 10 years ago, maybe more.
Probably around the 10-year mark, I would say. It was before the horror realm break.
Right, well before the break. Yeah,
This is what, like around 2016 or 17. Um, yeah, so probably around 2013, 2014, we did that show.
yeah.
So wow, we got like this might be our 10-year anniversary. Let's just make it. This is the 10-year anniversary of Horror Realm Radio.
Cool, man. This is special, folks. We just realized it's our 10-year anniversary. Maybe it is, or maybe it isn't. I don't know. It's close enough. Close enough.
It's fact now.
So, so the obvious, namesake of Horror Realm Radio is the Horror Realm Convention. The past 2 years have been pretty well attended, pretty successful. Why don't you talk about some of the guest lists and maybe why you're seeing a little bit more in the attendance of Horror Realm as of late?
I think there's a few factors that go into it. One is certainly, guests are always a big part of it. If you have a good mix of names, you get people out. We have consistently good vendors too that are interesting. So I think that, that combination of vendors and guests has helped grow our crowd. And amongst those vendors and attendees, they've just been spreading the word. We've always been a grassroots kind of convention. We do a little bit of Facebook ads and stuff like that. And I kind of have figured out the algorithms to, get at least 2 or 3 people to view the ads. But I really do think it's all due to the fans and the vendors just keep spreading the word, and it's grown. And I like to think that, I've done a pretty good job choosing guests that are interesting to people, and some that, people haven't met in Pittsburgh before. That's always important. And also I think we've just done it enough years now, and then we had that little break. I think people were nostalgic for it to come back, which,
Right.
if you think about it, coming out of COVID, we haven't had a bad attended show since. They keep getting bigger, but even that first one when we had to do in November, 2021?
Yeah.
I'm surprised by how many people came out. So,
Yeah.
oh no, I'm sorry. Our first show back was COVID year. That was March of 2020. That was our first year show back after the break.
Yeah, it was right before everything shut down.
Yeah, a week before. So, I just, really just, I think it's just, a lot of perseverance too. We've stuck around and survived long enough that, enough people have learned about it, and I think they have a good time. I get worried that it's going to get stale, but people seem to like what goes on all weekend, and more people are making it an entire weekend instead of just a day pass. So, just keep doing what we're doing.
Very cool. So, what else you want to talk about?
Well, I don't really know. I mean, maybe since we're talking about a Horror Realm convention, maybe is it time to announce the first of 4 guest announcements tonight?
Yeah, let's drop the first one.
All right, so the first one I'm excited about. It's from, I always try to get newer films represented too, not just our 80s nostalgia and things of that nature. And last year, that Thanksgiving film, as we know, was very popular. So, first guest I wanted to announce tonight, Karen Cliché. She was Kathleen in the film. I don't really want to spoil anything for anybody, so I'm not going to talk about her scenes that may or may not have led to her death and stuff. But she had the pilgrim outfit on, and she really, I thought it was a cool part in the film. So yeah, she's our first.
Very cool.
You see that film?
Huh?
You saw the film?
I did. I watched it.
Yeah, so you know who I'm talking about.
I do. It's a fun movie. A slasher,
Yeah.
which we'll actually be talking about a little later when we talk about the bottom five slashers, in our opinion. The bottom five has been known to cause some controversy at times. So we'll see if it continues on that way. So you made a mention of, you're trying to get newer type guests. What do you think of, sort of landscape of the conventions going forward, with some of the older stars that we love sort of getting older and up there in years?
I mean, I think it's a tough thing to navigate sometimes. One, sometimes it seems like somebody, you put on these shows, you kind of have your niche and the things you grew up with and your nostalgia. You may not always keep up with the newer stuff. And as you mentioned, people get up there in age, they stop doing conventions. Sadly, and sometimes they pass. So you need to have new guests to be able to bring in just for that reason. But also, you there's some people you want to meet 100 times so you can keep bringing them into a convention. But for the most part, people want new names. So if you're not keeping up with those new movies and stuff, I think you're doing a disservice to the fans. But it is difficult, and as you get older and you do get set in your ways, I realize, like, I talk to some of the younger people that I know are maybe even more up on some of the stuff that's coming out each year than I am, and get their recommendations and start watching those movies to try to come up with ideas. And then the agents are very helpful too. They know what's going on in the scene and who's doing shows and who's been popular, so that's very helpful. The agents, you find good agents to work with, they're very valuable to helping your show.
Most definitely. Most definitely. So we have the first announcement as far as guests. We've kind of talked about the history of our show or Realm Radio. So I guess it would be fitting to get straight to the special episode's bottom five.
You're ready for the bottom five already?
Yeah.
Holy heck. It's early.
This is going to take a while, just because also we have, three more guest announcements to make as well.
This is true.
So,
we've talked about the convention. We haven't even mentioned the date yet. It's
what is it? Or because the date is a little different this
time. Yeah. We're first weekend of March, but this year we decided for various reasons we're going to be February 28th through March 2nd.
So it's just a couple of days before.
Yeah.
Really. It's not that big of a deal.
I don't know if you saw he put the bottom five graphic up, so you can run this show.
All right, the bottom five. This is something that we started pretty straight out the gate, and seems that people liked it. So we're just going to put that horse until we have no more topics. So, bottom five slasher is what we've chosen for this show. Of course, Thanksgiving is not on the list because we would want to do that. So, Rich, let's go. Number five is your bottom number five.
All right,
So,
and let me just give you a little criteria I used for this.
Okay.
I went more with a slasher that, like, the slasher themselves, the character annoyed me and stuff like that. So it could even be a good film, but I hated the slasher, the look or the actions of. So, and sometimes the movie just sucked also. So, but
how I looked at it too.
so going into each one of these, it started with the slasher, and sometimes it encompassed the whole movie. So my number five was the killer from Driller Killer. Or not Driller Killer, the Driller Killer dude from Slumber Party Massacre.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I hate that dude, and I hate that movie.
Why do you hate that movie?
Because of him. If they had a killer, I think I would love that movie.
What is it about the killer that you don't like?
I just found him to be too cheesy and annoying, and I actually read somewhere once where it was supposed to be kind of like a parody on a slasher film, and
Right.
then they decided to go straight horror. And I think when they did that, they forgot to change up the killer.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I mean that's the vibe I get. You know, based if what I read was correct, is like okay, yeah, that's cool that you want straight horror, but you left the parody killer in there. I just find them annoying and just like you know nothing scary about them. And yeah, I think his tool that drill thing is with the guitar thing stupid.
Wasn't that the third one?
I don't know the whole thing. I wipe out Slumber Party Massacre from my watch list.
Wasn't the girl from Wings in the first Slumber Party Massacre? I believe she was.
You're right. I think you're correct.
I can't remember, but she.
Uh
Uh-oh, we have some little hate from the chat.
oh.
Um,
That's
anyone the Slumber Party Massacre movies. So that is from us. So
yeah. She's high maintenance.
she's high maintenance, he said. So we already have some disagreement. So how would you have made the serial killer in that movie to make it better?
I mean, unfortunately, I'm very generic and not very creative. So it would be something. It would probably turn into like Halloween, but they'd be having a slumber party. You know, I'd have a Michael Myers type, or it'd become in Black Christmas, and you'd have to do, you know,
Right.
yeah. I'm not very I'm not a deep person.
So you just wanted something other than what they gave you,
Yeah.
basically.
So speaking of the deep, I'll be bringing him up later from the boys. That sounds weird, I know, for this show, but it'll make sense soon.
I'm excited to watch the finale. This has been a crazy season of The Boys. I will say that. So I guess it's my turn. Uh, so I'm just going to get right to it. So my bottom fifth on my bottom five is Wrong Turn.
Oh,
I went to see this movie in the movie theaters when it came out, and I thought it was a really cool concept. And as I'm watching the film, and really the unoriginal kills through the entire thing, Elijah Dushku helps the film out immensely. But then you come to see the kill, and two of them are like your standard hillbilly Texas Chainsaw Massacre esque killers. And then there's that one little dude that looks like Salacious B. Crumb,
yeah.
runs around, and the end he like pops up and laughs, and it just I don't know, it just killed the entire thing for me. That little guy, it's just like yeah, you had kind of a scary vibe going until you brought Salacious in, and it just kind of sucked.
I
What
can
are your
see,
thoughts of Wrong Turn?
I can see that. Yeah, it makes sense, and I never thought of it that deeply because, as we mentioned, I'm not very deep. But yeah, I can see where that could ruin it for you.
Yeah, because it was just there were some brutal kills. The one main guy of the group, whatever hillbillies, whatever you want to call it, he was pretty hardcore, and
Yeah,
so I was a little disappointed the path that it took, as far as almost wanting to be like funny, but it just had no part in the film, in my opinion.
yeah, I get it. I get it. So, how many of those did they end up making? Like 6 or 7?
Something like that. Yeah,
I
yeah.
think it's quite a franchise.
I know Doug Bradley was in one. He was in one of the last one or two that they made.
I didn't realize that. I stopped at like 4, I think. 3.
It's a franchise that I don't know if it needed the wings it got, but
I have like 20 copies of the one though on DVD.
because of that person's thing in it.
Yeah, yeah. Don't you remember? We were on the phone. I'm like, I'm hitting another family video and buying theirs.
Yeah, that was a hot item for a minute.
Yeah, they're still sitting in a pile somewhere.
Yeah, they're probably not worth anything.
No, they're worthless.
As worthless as the franchise. So we're on to number four. What is your number four bottom slasher?
And I'm hoping that this counts as a slasher, and if it's not correct, then you can yell at me. Um, the Creeper from Jeepers Creepers.
Slasher, no, I'm fine.
Yeah, don't like him.
Why don't you like?
I think, and I've thought about this often because I really like the first film, even though I don't like him.
Mm-hmm.
I think they did such a good job with the first half of that film before he's revealed as that demon, whatever thing he is. Um, it was very creepy. The truck, the horn, the pursuit, all that stuff. That I think in my mind I was expecting a human,
Right.
and I don't think I ever got over that.
Yeah, no, I actually totally agree with you. Love the first part where he had, the hat and the long jacket. And he drove that crazy truck, and then they made him into a fucking bug. And I
Yeah,
was like, well, what the hell just was that? Like, why did we do that?
well, I'm
Just
glad we agree.
what's that?
I'm glad we can agree.
Yeah. Did you like any of the sequels?
No, I didn't really like the sequel at all. I just liked the first one,
There's a
and I
third one
anything
too.
after two. I haven't watched anything since.
Yeah, there's a third one with Meg Foster.
I do like Meg Foster. I should probably watch that.
You don't have to. You don't.
Eh, You don't get enough Meg Foster in this world.
I had to do a panel for Days of the Dead, and it was her and the creep guy that played the creep. And yeah, it was a panel, and I did it. But
I, re- I remember when you did the They Live panel with her and Keith David and Roddy Piper,
yes,
and you and I were out at her table, and we were getting a sound for promo for the radio station, and
you know,
I really was convinced that she was going to at least dry hump you.
I have a lot of pictures with her. She's very cuddly. Um,
She loved
yeah, and I remember talking to her that They Live panel was the last They Live panel with the main three. Rowdy died long after. So I was talking to her about it in Chicago, and she just burst into tears. I mean, she's just such a genuinely kind woman. And you're right, there is not a Nick Foster in this world. I
in
agree.
those eyes. My God.
What's
If
that?
you've ever seen her on screen and think those eyes are enhanced with contacts or something, they're not, people.
Nope. Those
Those
are
are
real deal.
they're as bright as they were in the 80s.
For sure. For sure. The They Live panel is probably still available on Otherworldly Culture on our YouTube. So if you want to go watch that, go check that out. Go to our channel. Type it They Live, and you will find it. Yep. Just confirmed. It's on YouTube. Producer Tim confirmed
Nice.
it's on there. So, all right. My number 4 is a film that came out. I don't know when it came out, but there was a lot of hype about it. It's from Australia. It's called Wolf Creek. And have you seen Wolf Creek?
I have, and when we were talking about this subject and we had our lists and but don't tell each other what they are, I had a feeling this one was on your list.
Right. So, um, basically, what I thought about it's stated as one of the most disturbing films, and it's based on a true story, all that kind of stuff. This film is so boring that by the time the serial killer comes, the slasher, whatever you want to call it, you really don't care about any of these three annoying people. And then the killer comes, and he's just as annoying, in my opinion, as the people that he's going to kill.
Yeah.
And then he, dispatches of them. And I mean, I guess they were okay kills. They were nothing special. So it got a lot of hype. A lot of people liked it. It got a sequel. The sequel was just as bad as it was a lot worse than the first one. But yeah, I'm gonna say the Mick Taylor, the dude that he just never shuts up the entire time. He just keeps talking, and it's like, are you just going to someone, or you? So that's my number 4.
I'm not gonna get up in arms about that one.
Yeah, yeah. a fan, but I am a fan of guest announcements. We are up for number 2, the second guest announcement. Rich, take it away.
All right, so this is going to be going on for a second. It's really a waste of breath because only 2 people are going to ever listen to this show, and both of them are involved in the convention. But it is the 40th anniversary of Return of the Living Dead, 1985. Now, the reason I'm saying that, or continuing on, is we're going to, from the minute we start announcing this till we have the show, 2024 was the 40th anniversary. No, the movie was released in 1985. The graphic of the original film, when it starts, says July 3rd, 1984. New releases since, if you've ever noticed, have changed it to 1985 to coincide with the actual release of the film. So it is the 40th anniversary of Return of the Living Dead. So I'm pumped. If you remember, we had a great reunion. That was the year before, or 2 years before we had to take the break from the convention. So I thought we should bring back a fan favorite, Beverly Randolph, who played Tina.
Beverly Randolph coming to the Horror.
Very excited to have her back. She's always been very kind to me. Outside of the whole convention thing too, she actually seems to genuinely care about people, and it's nice to continue working with people like that.
Right. Alrighty, so we got 2 false announcements. I'm not repeating them because you got to listen to this. So back to the bottom 5.
Oh, that's right, we're doing that still.
Yeah. So we're up 3.
Number 3. This is one I know you will agree with me, even if it's on your list. And this is more geared towards the killer itself. The movie, it's okay. But Happy Death Day, that baby head mask killer thing,
right,
makes me want to break my TV in half.
It's one of those masks that I thought, could you find a more, how do I want to say, like, it's just not very user-friendly mask, I would think.
Yeah. And I also don't find the killer to be very imposing either. And you don't have to be big, bulked up Tyler Mane as Michael Myers to be imposing. Bill Moseley is built more average, and he is imposing when he's killing somebody.
Richard Brake will say.
Yeah, exactly. So I didn't find him imposing. I hated that mask. The movie itself was kind of fun. Watch it every year type of movie for me, but I won't be upset watching it again.
Yeah, the first one I enjoyed. The second one I did not. Found it didn't know what it was. It didn't know if it was a comedy, a horror, a drama. It just was all over the place. But the first one wasn't bad. But
yeah,
the stupid baby.
So
never sat well with me.
This is definitely one where it's not the movie I'm bottom fiving. It's just the killer or the slasher himself.
Right. So that's fair. Fair. I don't think anybody's had an issue with anything since your first one.
It's going to change real soon.
So my number 3 is, you actually mentioned it, and I was like, oh shit, it's on there. But then you changed it up a little bit. But mine is actually the Driller.
Oh, when I accidentally misspoke.
Yes. So the Driller killer, to me, from 1979, Reno Miller is the killer. And I remember we were doing a 13 Hours of Horror, and that was one of the films. And I had never seen it. And it's one that you always hear about, you know what I mean? Like, a lot of people talk about it, reference it, whatever. T-shirt Joe has shirts, this, that, and the other. So I was excited, and I watched it, and I could not have been more disappointed. So my biggest thing of the entire film is, well, one, it looks like shit. It's not very well done.
No.
But 2, why do you choose something that you need to plug into an outlet to kill someone?
To give them a fighting chance?
But then he had that thing that he put on the belt.
Yeah.
Remember that? That it was like a power pack or what? I don't know. Why did it need to be a drone? It just seems very impractical.
You had to have everybody had to have a hook.
This was a bad hook. A bad hook. I just never quite understood
I'm not going to argue with you on it.
why you would choose that weapon.
Yeah, I can't argue with you. It was one of those movies that escaped me for a long time too, and heard it. It was not, to the best of my knowledge, available in my video store that I grew up going to, and I think maybe if it was one that you saw when you were 8, 9 years old and could rent movies at the store, maybe you'd feel differently about it. But as an adult seeing it for the first time, no.
Yeah, no, it was a rough watch.
Oh yeah, I'm reading that too.
I don't. Um, so Driller Killer, yeah, no, that's pretty much all I had on that.
Nice. Well, there's not much to say because there wasn't much to that movie.
But I do have an unpopular opinion, kind of correlating with the dumb weapons.
Yeah.
And this is a film that I love to death, and it's a franchise that I love. But the weapon is bullshit, and that's the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Other
Yeah.
other than the sound, that weapon is shit. You have the smallest gas tank on this. Did you ever try starting one? It never starts on the first fucking pull or the second, probably not even the third. And then you don't go on the bone the right way. That chain's popping off. You ever hit it
Nice.
the wrong way? Thing is popping off. Then it's not only gas, but you tank oil too.
Yeah. Well, I think it's a valid point, but it's one I can get over because it's such a cool looking, imposing weapon.
Right. I mean, I can get past it, but it's not very practical. You have to
No,
agree.
but are we supposed to be practical when it comes to horror?
No,
All right.
but that's my brain. So I just had to put that out there. So I'm being told that we need a guest announcement.
Well, we must be running long or something.
So
Um, so this is our second one from Return of the Living Dead, and the last one tonight that we'll be announcing from Return of the Living Dead. First time for us having him to Horror Realm. Spider Miguel Nunez.
very cool.
Yeah.
From 13th fame.
Friday 13th, Part 5. Your favorite.
The enchiladas, man. They're killing. It was it enchiladas or burritos? I don't know. Can't remember.
I don't remember, but I just know how much you love that movie, so I'm surprised you don't remember.
I don't love that movie at all. I remember when you had the director at the show.
Yeah, yeah. And didn't he show porn movies in the VHS room?
He did. They were his though.
Yeah, they were his.
He directed them.
Right. It was still porn.
Danny Steinman.
That's it. Yeah. Yeah, it was pretty awesome. Somebody came out and Danny's showing porn in the VHS room. I'm like, it's after 10 o'clock. I guess I don't care.
So you wanted to book Miguel for a while, right? Because you had the reunion and he wasn't involved with that.
Yeah, I mean that reunion we had almost everybody, if you remember, that was still living. James Karen unfortunately couldn't do it, and that was close to his end. And Miguel couldn't do it, and then we were still running the Hollywood Theater back then too, and he actually came to a movie premiere that the producer was from Pittsburgh, so she brought all the cast and crew and had a big party, and he was in it. Christmas in Compton, and he was awesome. So it made it even worse for me that we weren't able to have him at Horror Realm because he was an awesome dude. He was fun. He jumped back there and was slinging popcorn with me, and just I think fans are gonna love him. He's a good dude. Got good energy. So, and I know, I think he's been in the area. That's fine, but he's never been to horror realm, and some people, their horror convention is horror realm. So I'm glad we can finally bring him there for them.
Yeah, definitely. It's a great addition to the lineup so far.
Thanks.
So now we're getting to the juicy ones, the one and the two. So, Rich, your second one, what is it? Hit me with it.
I'm afraid to. Ghostface Scream.
It's actually my number two as
Really?
well. Yep.
Holy crap! I
So,
was. I thought you were gonna be like, "What's wrong with you?"
no, I have my whole spiel about this film, but why do you put it on this list?
So, I'm I'm kind of lukewarm on the film. I appreciate the nostalgia that they tried to pull in the nostalgia of like how our generation grew up, like all the tropes that take part in horror films, and I like that, and I like the fact that there wasn't much going on in the horror film world at that point, and they did put something out there that kind of hooked people and got the ball rolling again. To the best of our knowledge, maybe it would have rolled anyway. Um, and I liked some of the cast. I liked a lot of the cast. I didn't like Ghostface. Um, the the switcheroo thing between the two of them, that was kind of cool, but both of them were buffoons. I don't know how they killed anybody, to be honest with you. And I just, I don't know. And with each sequel, I still just hate the character. The mask. I don't hate it. I don't like it. Um, I don't know. I just don't like the killer. I don't like the always tripping over things. And like, I guess that's trying to push across like, oh, just a human being that's psychotic killing people. It's not supernatural, so he's gonna trip over things or whatever. I don't know. Again, it goes back to that imposing thing.
Right.
I like for slashers, I like something that's truly scary and threatening, and I just don't find Ghostface to be threatening.
No, and that goes with part of what I was going to say about Ghostface is he gets his ass whooped more than any slasher there is.
Yeah.
And everybody whoops his ass. It doesn't matter. But he still ends up killing everybody is what I don't understand. There's one scene in the first one where I forget who it was, but they slam him I think it was Rose Allen, they slam him in the face with a refrigerator door.
Yeah.
He's down on the ground. You could have stabbed him with whatever. You could have killed him right there. But nobody ever seemed to capitalize on that.
No.
One of my biggest issues with Scream, the film, I did like the film. The mask was different. It was something different. It was cool. I liked the soundtrack of the film. But this film, it created a windfall of garbage that lasted until really the 2000s.
Right.
I mean, it was all this nameless kids all in a row on the poster with your random bullshit, and it just flooded the market. And that is why I will always be mad at Scream. One, the guy he's always weak, and he always dies at the end, and then it's someone else.
Yeah.
So he dies every time. I don't know. Like you said, how can that be scary when they literally die? Doesn't make any sense. But
that was a good point about the copycat thing, because you can trace back that it was almost the beginning of the end. Like, we have not seen good original artwork like posters used to have. That was kind of you can almost mark that era where they stopped having artists do artwork, and we just got those collage photos with there's like the 6 different colors they choose from to blend it together, like oranges or the blues.
yep, it's just the same thing over and over. Like, I remember going to Blockbuster in Hollywood Video, and in the horror section, it just looked all the same.
Yeah.
It was a definite bummer on that.
Trick or Treat had good art, according to Tim, and it did. I mean, but that was also a little more recent. There was about a 10-plus year period where there was not good artwork, and still to this day, there's not. It's still few and far between. Not many people are doing original artwork anymore.
No, no, they aren't.
I mean, some artwork, if you look at it and you're like, that's really cool, but I watched the movie and that artwork makes no sense.
Right.
But it's really cool. I miss that.
I do too. And it was always a gamble at the video store because the cover art was cool, and then you watched it and you're like, oh, that was a horrible film.
Yeah. Unlike what you were talking about, basically it was like, well, Dawson's Creek's on every shelf of my horror section.
Exactly. So I think what we've uncovered here is Scream has done a lot more harm than it's done good.
I agree.
So
I can't believe I thought that one was going to bug you.
no. Nope, that was my number 2. So I mean, we're gonna make you wait till the end of this show for the last guest announcement. So without further ado, Rich, what is your number 1 bottom 5 slasher?
So my number 1 should not be a surprise to you after the conversation we just had. It goes along with your line or your comment of Scream spawning a bunch of copycats.
Yep.
The guy who sells fish sticks in I Know What You Did Last Summer. And this is one I hate the film too. This is one, to this point, none of the films were awful. The killers were my biggest problem. But this one, the film was awful. You're 100% correct about the copycat. You can see they were just more or less seeing the, same kind of format. Scream. I know they didn't do the throwbacks to what's your favorite horror film, but just the general vibe and the type of people they cast. And again, this might actually be one where the film ruined the killer for me. The dude was in his fishing gear and hooking people, and that actually wasn't that bad, but the movie was so awful, I hate the slasher too.
Yeah, it was very generic, the entire film. Let's cast all the popular pretty people and put them in a slasher film. And did you ever watch any of the sequels for that?
I did, unfortunately.
The last one that I watched, did you see that they turned him into an actual Jason type monster?
I did. That I kind of liked.
That one I thought maybe they should have done that from the beginning. I don't know.
It was just that movie almost ruined horror for me in the 90s.
I agree. Like I said, Scream spawned so many terrible films. Did you have anything else on I Know What You Did Last Summer?
There's really not much else to say. I mean, there's not enough about that, or they didn't do enough to actually talk more about it. It was so basic. Yeah. I'm curious about your number 1 anyway.
That was actually close to being my number 1. Was I Know What You Did Last Summer. I know Tim thought that I was going to go Child's Play because you could just pick them up and throw them. I didn't go that route. I went another film that Scream had spawned. That for me it was that's it. We're fucked. We're never getting a good horror movie again. And that is 2001's Valentine.
So that was in my mix, trust me.
This fucking movie, man. So again, I Know What You Did Last Time. They just threw a bunch of popular celebrities that were pretty into a film, gave it no substance. And I'll tell you what, this is the biggest problem I have with this film. Spoiler alert if anybody hasn't seen a film from 2001, and I'm doing you a favor if you haven't seen it. The film, it turns out that the killer is a female. No problem with the killer female. That's fine. But some of the kills that she did, I'm not sure she would be physically able to do said kills.
Not without being supernatural.
Right. Yeah. That was my biggest issue. I'm like, what are we talking about here? I'm like, how is this possible that she did all that? It just really bugged me. And like, didn't she break the cop's neck and throw him in the pond?
I think that's correct. And
How is she? I wouldn't have the first fucking clue how to break someone's neck. Like
yeah, part of the one she did.
it just and again, much like the Happy Death Day, the mask was stupid.
Yeah.
It looked stupid, and the tell was, um, the killer got a nosebleed every time it killed someone, and it was so heavy handed that you thought it was David Boreanaz the whole time. That I don't think I think I was shocked at the reveal of the killer because of what I said. I'm like, well, how did she do all of that? So
That's
instead,
what
like, oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
So that was my number one, and that was a dark time in horror for me.
That's a good / bad number one. Just awful film. I couldn't agree more about her being the killer. Like, I thought David Boreanaz was too obvious, so I'm like, oh, who's the twist going to be?
Right.
And then, just like you said, I mean, I'm just repeating your words. It made no sense that it was her because everything said it's going to be some. And I don't like that. I like when you get a surprise. I mean, that's why we watch these horror films, is for those surprises, but it has to make sense.
Yeah, I think she at one point threw David Boreanaz like down the steps and over a railing.
Yeah.
Not sure that's possible, but hey, they made it and made money. But what is money is the final guest announcement.
Oh, yeah. Oh. Should I do it now?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So, we had 2 from Return of the Living Dead, so why not have 2 from Thanksgiving? We are going to have Alex Armbruster. I always want to say Armbuster. He played John. He was the stuntman, John Carver. So he was the one in the costume for all the stunts. We're not getting what's his name? Wasn't it the dude Patrick Dempsey? We're not going to get him. So this is a pretty damn cool guy to get. He's going to do a in costume photo op of John Carver. So that's going to be an awesome photo op at the convention. And I like the stuntmen. You and I have talked about this a lot. I like meeting the stuntmen. There's a lot of movies where our favorite scenes are not Patrick Dempsey or whomever. It is Alex Armbruster, because they're trained to take pain. So I'm excited. It'll be kind of cool to see some of what other photos he might have on his table and stuff, because if you remember, I mentioned The Deep. Well, he has done the stunts for the actor for The Deep on The Boys.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. So, and he's done some other cool things. He was in Jigsaw. I forget who he was in Jigsaw. The stunts again.
Yeah.
But it's been a while, and you can correct me because I'm probably going to be wrong. We had a ton of stunt people that we knew about through the 80s doing these things, and we've met a lot of them. And then a lot of them, the names haven't really come across. I mean, Derek Mears was kind of he was more of a big guy, not even a stunt guy, was he?
Originally a stunt guy.
Was that?
He was originally a stunt guy.
He was. So, but I mean, like, who from these movies? There haven't been a lot of them where we've gotten to meet them on the convention scene recently, like new ones. So I'm excited, and I hope you are too.
Yeah, most definitely. So why don't you go ahead and give us a recap of the 4 that we announced for Horror Home this February 28th to March, what is it, 3rd? 2nd, 2025. Go ahead, Rich.
So Karen Cliche, Kathleen from Thanksgiving, Beverly Randolph, Tina from Return of the Living Dead, 40th anniversary of the movie, Miguel Nunez, Return of the Living Dead Spider, and Alex Armbruster, who was John Carver in the costume stuntman for Thanksgiving, who will be doing an in-costume photo op. I can't stress that enough because I think the in-costume ones are really cool.
Yeah, most definitely. So again, that's a great start to the 2025 lineup. I know you got a lot of things cooking, so we're going to be interested in seeing those.
We've just scratched the surface.
What?
We've just scratched the surface. You wait till you see some of the guests coming this year, or well, next year. But yeah, it's going to be a good one.
Very cool. Keep checking back at horrorrealm.com for updates, and also on Facebook, Horror Realm Convention. Check them out there. Give them a like. If you have not, stay up to date with all the announcements. So, Rich, anything else you'd like to add to this special episode?
Just as much as we joke about it, the show won't stay dead, and ask why we don't do it or why we keep doing it and bringing it back. I am glad to be doing this. The one thing that's been really cool the last few years, you talked about the convention growing. I've gotten to meet a lot of people, and if we can connect with them in the off season a little bit more doing this and keep the excitement up, then it's worth doing. And even though we'll sound like we want to end it all the time, I'm actually having fun. So thanks for doing this, and thanks to Tim for all the work he's putting in trying to make it extra special with these graphics and stuff like that. And yeah, looking forward to the next, we're doing 4 episodes before the convention.
I believe so, yes.
Yeah, so I'm looking forward to it, and looking forward to being on the network.
Well, now that you've taken the fourth wall down and exposed gimmicks, guess that will close the show with thanking everybody for listening. We do joke, but we always have had a really good time doing Horror Realm Radio, and when we come back and do it, and I think this is a good time for us to do this show. We hope you enjoy it too. It's something fun to like to do. So, from us here at Horror Realm Radio, the show that won't stay dead. Have a good evening.
Otherworldlyculture.com.
I shouldn't talk about my balls.